Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Cation. Welcome to the Dork Forest. Yes, you know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com. Mike Rickberg, Sarah Cohen just sang the song. Michael sing again at the end. Very exciting times. Patrick Brady fixes the audio. And Vilmos, of course, works on the website. One thing you should know, there is a donation button, by the way. Feel free to use it. Not a hobby, turns out, I've decided, with the Dork Forest podcasting. Everyone should donate $100 a year. Unless you don't have $100 a year, and then you should just say, okay, I'm going to listen anyway. Oh, that's amazing. Anyway, there is merch, of course. There's always Dork Forest t-shirts. You could just buy one of those. That'd be something. $20. They're going to go up at some point just because postage went up a lot, and the profit margin on that, my father is rolling in his not yet dug grave. So I have both of my CDs and the t-shirts on JackieCation.com. in the store. So knock yourselves out there. My tour dates are available at JackieCation.com. And if you did not know, I did my late night comedy debut on Conan O'Brien a couple weeks ago. And you can watch that on JackieCation.com or probably on Conan O'Brien's site because that's where I stole the video. Okay. Sitting across the room from me in my beautiful downtown home, downtown Van Nuys, is a good guy. Let's talk to him. Adam Rebottaro, correct? Rebottaro, well done. I was kind of excited when you told me that you had made a cooperative card game. Like, you invented it. You're a game designer. Much like many people I know, but I like it. And have you always worked in games? Actually, that's the first question, I guess.
Actually. I mean, I've only really worked menial jobs my whole life. FedEx here.
Oh, okay. Until you made your own game.
Until I made my own game, yeah. I was working for a small internet startup company and recording video game walkthroughs for them for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's what I was doing until I made this.
And it's a card game, and it's my favorite kind of game, which is a cooperative game. Mm-hmm. I like it when everybody plays against the game. Mm-hmm. Cool. It's called Sentinels of the Multiverse. Right. And it is, I have your introductory email here, which is exciting. And it just says, you co-created a comic book themed fully cooperative card game. Yes. And it came out at Gen Con in Indiana.
Yeah, in 2011.
Initially. In 2011,
yeah,
sure.
We released it then. And we released a much shoddier, smaller box with no dividers or anything on cheap cardstock because that's what we could afford.
Sure. So that was the first big production of it because you guys, who's your partner?
His name is Christopher Bedell.
Okay. And the two of you guys.
We made the game and then a gentleman by the name of Paul Bender played it and he approached us and said, you should sell this. And we said, I don't know if that's really a good idea. He said, no, hold on. And he wrote up a huge business proposal for us.
That's cool.
Yeah, said, here you go. This is what you need to do. Just sign here. We'll get this money and we'll get it printed and start selling it. And I was like, that's...
And he did that. Did he sort of get in on the ground floor plastics?
Yeah, it's like the three of us.
The three of you.
We own the company.
And now you own the company. And what's the name of the company?
The company is Greater Than Games.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go to greaterthangames.com. It'll link you to both of the websites for our games.
Right, because Sentinels of the Multiverse card game now has 2 expansion sets and one more coming out.
It does. It actually has 2 coming out this year that we've announced.
Wow.
We one of them comes out in, I think it's April.
Mm-hmm.
PAX East is where we're releasing that.
Oh, okay. PAX East, which is the PvP guys or what are the Penny Arcade guys. I forget what PvP is. What do you know what PvP is?
It's sort of a joint of them now.
Yeah. Maybe it's their player versus player. Is that what it stands for? Okay, whatever. I know that they do a comic strip and Andy reads it all the time. So, and I know nothing about it, but right. It's got a comic strip. They have a blog. They are talking about gaming all the time. My husband is a game designer but he'll play any game, but he's right. And so it started out with D&D and video games and board games, a lot of board games. He just got something called Thunderstone. Yeah. And we played that all weekend.
This is the same box as Thunderstone.
Oh, what do you mean?
When you open it up, It has
The great unboxing. He brought a copy of the game. Very exciting.
it has the same sort of divider down the middle like that.
Okay, so it's 2 rows, and then there's like when you file things.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to tell you what the different cards are and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so it has, it'll have all the heroes here. And this is actually all the expansions fit in this box also.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you can get one box that can fit all the
That won't work going forward, but we have a solution for that planned out already, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always be able to store your cards.
There'll always be another box. So you started out with how many superheroes?
The core set has 10 heroes, 4 villains, 4 environments, because there's an environment deck in play also, so that you're not just fighting in a vacuum. You're also fighting in a big, busy city, or the ruins of Atlantis, or a base on Mars, some fantastical place.
Okay.
So the core set comes with 4 of those, 4 villains, 10 heroes. And then each subsequent expansion comes with 2 more heroes, 4 more villains, and 2 more environments.
Okay.
So they're villain heavy, and they all fit to a theme. So our core set was very, generic superhero type.
Now, when you say generic super, I read comic books and I follow some superhero. I'm pro superhero. I don't know what the core. I mean, I suppose like a strong guy like Superman.
Yeah.
Or
You look at the cover. You've got this is our sort of flagship villain, Baron Blade.
Baron Blade.
An evil genius.
And,
then we have
no mustache, just goatee. Yeah.
We have the scar across one eye. That's always evil.
That does, because the only evil people get scarred.
Exactly.
That's the important thing.
You have Legacy, and he is sort of an all-American hero. He has flight, super strength. His powers are hereditary, and every generation will gain a new power. And so, he's the latest in a long legacy of heroes.
Oh, I get it.
Then you have the Wraith, who uses stealth and gadgets to fight crime.
Sure.
You have Bunker, who's a soldier in a giant metal suit.
Oh, okay.
You've got Absolute Zero, who's trapped in a cryogenic suit, and he can do blasts of cold and stuff like that.
Oh.
And then you have Tachyon, who is a super speedster.
Okay.
And she's a scientist.
So do you have a... All right.
So those
I weeded off. Yeah.
These are these are like the Freedom 5 is our main team.
Okay.
So those are the 5 characters that are the predominant.
Sure. So
you have your basic heroes with that. Then in subsequent expansions, our first one was Rook City, and that has like a gritty urban theme. So your villains are like a serial killer, a crime boss. And
okay. More noir-y.
Yeah, your heroes are like a gun-toting vigilante and a martial artist.
Okay.
And then the next one was Infernal Relics, and that's like a more magic theme.
Okay.
You have 2 arcane-based heroes, and then you have there's a villain in the core set by the name of Ra, who's the Egyptian god of the sun.
Yes.
And his nemesis is in the Infernal Relics pack. It's all of the other Egyptian gods.
Oh, okay. All right.
So every hero also has a nemesis. There's a little icon on their hero card that corresponds to
right.
one of the villains. So there's a lot of story that we put probably far too much work into.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing of it, is that you made the game because you wanted to make the game, right? And so you two wanted to play the game with your wives or girlfriends or friends or whoever's out there, right? Yeah. And you're like, we're going to make this game.
We were both working at FedEx, and we were like, we'll just print our own copy and just play it ourselves. So
right. Yeah. And so then where did the money guy, the guy who knew how to write the business plan?
We had an angel investor for our first thing.
What's an angel?
For our first print run. It's someone who just gave us.
Oh, okay. It's a loved one. Somebody who said, "No, just make it." Yeah. And then so you just did a print run on in your junkie box with your not great cardstock, right? Because neither of you worked at Kinko's, where you could have made it pretty. Anyway, but you did though. You worked at FedEx Kinko's.
Yeah. But it would have cost us a lot more.
Yeah. So you had the boxed game, and then you took that to Gen Con? Or?
Yeah, we took that to Gen Con.
Okay.
So we had made it like a crappy version on index cards that we were playing with to begin with. And then the business guy was a friend of Christopher's.
Okay, so one's from... Okay, so just a friend of his who played it once and said, you could do this.
Okay.
That makes perfect sense now.
So we went through one printer who kind of gouged us on price, and so that's why the first version was not so good.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually we changed printers for the expansion, and we ran out of the first print run.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, okay,
we can no longer.
the way we want to.
Right.
And we went back and fixed any problems that anyone had with it. And
now, do you guys do the art? Do you guys do the art and stuff? You did the art?
Yeah, all of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
That's
There's something like an obscene amount of drawings in the core set alone. It was like 350 different drawings that I did.
sure.
Yeah, to toot my own horn a little bit.
That's what it's all about. It's the thing is I should have done a sound check. One of the things
Okay.
I think so. You talk for a second and I'll edit that out.
Talking, checking, check. This is my normal talk volume.
That is your normal talk volume. Mine seems to be a little hotter than yours. And then, what the hell have I?
You have this fancy thing.
Yeah.
Knobs. I was using one of these when I was working for that company. So I had the zooms, but I would just record straight to the zoom.
Yeah.
Not the best quality.
The Zoom is fine, but what on earth? Oh, I got to.
Is my mic not on?
Can you turn your mic on?
That there? Are we better?
Yeah. I wonder how that first 10 minutes is going to sound. Oh, Patrick, how you doing out there? Patrick Brady. He's going to fix the audio. I'm going to eat a cashew to start to dull the pain. Okay.
He's got his work cut out for him.
All right. So, you love superheroes.
I do. I grew up with comics. I grew up with the superhero animated shows. Like that was my life. You know, pretty much all the way. It still is. Who are we kidding?
Were you kidding?
Yeah.
That's all your television?
Yeah. Like my fiance and I just watched Batman all the time.
Just over and over?
Yeah, pretty much. Or whatever new stuff comes out, we watch that. And
Oh, interesting. All right.
yeah, we love that stuff.
It's great. So do you read comic books as well? Or
I have not in about 5 years. I was working at a comic store for a while, and so I was reading everything. And then when I left the comic store, I had to pay for comics.
Yeah,
so,
you did not have access to $200 worth of comics every month.
More like every week. It was an $800 a month habit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bad. I was reading literally every book that came out.
Wow. When did you stop working at the comic book store? So when did you stop 5 years ago?
Yeah. No, I guess about 7 years ago now. But.
Okay, because I started reading them about 10 years ago.
Okay.
When I met my husband, and he was my native Sherpa, and he's like, why don't you try this? You might like this. It's like heroin, but I'm not going to tell you it's like heroin. And they take about 20 minutes to read.
Yeah.
So,
it's nice and quick. No time investment at all.
No time investment.
Yeah.
The only thing that you think is, because you go into comic books thinking, well, it doesn't have the whole story. Now I'm going to have to wait till next month and I'll forget in the interim. But you don't.
No,
you don't forget. No. And once you start reading again, you're like,
no, it's engraved.
Yeah.
There. I think when I stopped was Secret Invasion was when I stopped.
Oh, okay. So pre-Civil War. I think I came in.
That's post-Civil War.
Oh, is it? House of M?
It's post-House of M was before Civil War also.
Okay. Yeah, because I think I came in at the tail end of House of M.
If you're on... Okay, yeah. So that was actually about when I started working at the comic store. Was then. And then I worked there for 3 to 5 years. It's a little hazy because I only read comics then.
Right.
So that was my time marker.
It's a blur.
So yeah, I stopped around the time of Final Crisis and...
Okay. Final Crisis would be a DC
the
side,
DC
right?
event, yeah.
I have, I try with the DC.
They don't make it easy.
They do not make it easy. They make it creepy and,
you gotta work for it with them.
Yeah, and you have to want, I'm uncertain what I have to want in their situation, but like I tried the new 52 and I was doing Teen Titans and Superboy.
Oh, Teen Titans. That was a rough one.
Yeah. I just stopped.
Yeah.
I just canceled Teen Titans and Superboy, and
the only thing I really regret not reading currently is Deadpool because he's my favorite. So
okay. Yeah, I
have all of them up until like the latest series. I have every appearance of his.
Really?
Yeah.
We were reading for some time, we were reading 4 different titles of Deadpool.
Yeah, I saw that. It was right before that I got out, so I missed the Deadpool rush.
There was definitely, it was after, I think, that first. Wait, when was he? Was he in the second Wolverine movie? Is that what it was? The 3 Mile Island?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Wolverine Origin, X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Yeah, where he cries at the sky 3 times.
Yeah.
You were allowed
That's
to
the
cry
one.
at the sky 1 time. Just no. So, yeah, but who are your favorites? Deadpool?
My favorite is Deadpool, yeah.
Because of the insanity? What do you
he's insane and he just, I don't know, he's a little bit murderous.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a Deadpool hipster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, define that.
But I feel like I was there first.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've liked him since I was a kid because he debuted in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, really?
91, 92 that he debuted.
Did he come into an X-Men kind of situation, or
X Factor X Force 98 was his first
X-Force
appearance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This happened to also the
Who
first
wrote that?
appearance of Domino. Fabian Nicieza, and the art was done by Rob Liefeld.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See, I'm only starting now to get the artists.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm saying it out loud in hopes that I will one day care who the artists are. But you were an artist,
Well,
so.
Rob Liefeld's universally reviled, so.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, but he was, he started out a lame ripoff of Deathstroke, the Terminator. And then, Fabian Nicieza turned him into the insane person that we know and love. And,
Okay.
and then eventually Joe Kelly wrote his ongoing series for a number of years.
Okay,
and-
sort of the definitive
and
starting.
that's Ed McGuinness art. And that was when I started reading it. Was Deadpool number 1 through, I think it ended at 69.
Okay. Yeah.
And then.
Did you read that Max title where it was dirty?
No, I haven't yet.
It was
It's
all
on my
cussy.
list, but.
It was all cussy. And so there's that Max, it's sort of an adult themed part of the Marvel world.
I read like the Punisher one and the Nick Fury Max they did back in the day. And
I'm reading a Nick Fury Max right now where it was him in Korea, and now he's just finished the
and he
Vietnam
sleeps with like
arc.
100 girls.
100 girls, but he's sleeping, I think, at this time with just the senator's wife. And the senator seems to be
just everybody.
He's just but it was a Punisher crossover. It's when he meets Frank Castle.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know anything. I mean, the crazy thing is I will start reading a comic book and then I'll have to turn to the people in my life that know, much like yourself. Mm-hmm. They've been reading since they were kids. Because the only ones I read when I was a kid were Spider-Man. And I only read them in junior high because Spider-Man, there's a window with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I get it. He's sarcastic. But I don't understand why he doesn't make any money because he's supposedly a scientific genius. Why is he delivering pizzas?
Right.
Stop delivering pizzas. And being a photographer.
Burns all his bridges. All of his friends in the science department turn into lizards. So.
Right. He only works for people who lose their minds.
Right.
How about just get a normal job where you're just splicing genes?
Exactly. Just go do the grunt work, R&D stuff.
Right. I think you can at least make $35 a year. I think it'll all work out. There's no reason to deliver pizzas and take photographs per shot. What the hell? Yeah. Yes. So I like, but I think my X Factor is my favorite
the
X-Men.
Current book?
Yeah, the Peter David.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
David?
like the X Factor Investigations
Yes.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a spy.
I had loved that one. It had just started, and I read it for about probably 2-3 years before I stopped, and I was loving that stuff. Yeah,
yeah, that was great. And then I knew nothing about Captain America, and we started reading Brubaker.
Oh yeah, the
Brubaker run, which was I guess 8 or 9 years. Mm-hmm. He's been on the Dork Forest. See the first live ever episode of the Dork Forest with Ed Brubaker.
That one out.
Oh yes, and he's going to be on again because he emailed me.
Very cool.
And I don't know why when Ed Brubaker says I'd like to be on the show again, I don't say, well, why don't you come over right now? But I didn't, and but it's going to be it's coming. And because you can't, as much as I love comic books and superheroes and board games and all that stuff, The Dork Forest has to be open to other dorkdoms.
Yeah. You have to diversify.
Right. Last episode was a dork panel, and it was all about propaganda.
Ooh.
And then the one before that, the one that just came out as we record, is the Disneyland episode. So,
I saw that one on there.
Oh, yeah.
I checked out your website.
Sure. Yeah. You looked at it. It could be anything, though. It could be bees. I'm in search currently of someone who really likes Japanese sneakers. You know those $1,000 Japanese sneakers?
I may be able to hook you up with that person.
Oh, fair enough.
Let me talk to. I have friends in Japan, so.
Oh, okay.
So I'll talk to them.
All right, and the Tolkien professor also is this guy who teaches Middle English and Tolkien.
I had actually just seen someone mapped out all of the characters and all of the genealogy of all of all of Tolkien.
Of all of Tolkien.
Yeah, and it even had the characters that only appeared in the card game, and it said, here's the one, they're marked in green so you know that they're not part of canon, but just so if someone's looking for them.
Just in case you wanted to know how they worked into things.
Yeah.
Have you ever played that Lord of the Rings cooperative game?
The living card game one?
No, it's just called the Lord of the Rings, and it's got 3 different boards. It's got a board for Moria, a board for the Shire, a board for Mordor.
I haven't.
Not in that order. And, you were hopefully not. And, all of a sudden you start in Moria. You have to head back to the Shire because you left the stove on.
Is bad. I have nothing and I'm stranded in Moria.
Right. And, no, because that was my first ever cooperative game that I ever played where,
Okay.
you and the other people play 4 hobbits. You can play Fatty Bulger, if you need if a 5th person comes. And then you just play against, and you almost always lose. And is your game super hard like that?
It actually scales. And you can see in the rule book here, well, on the back, there's this icon that's a circle with an H around it. This is the number of heroes.
Okay.
So depending on the number of players, it gets harder or easier.
Okay.
But also there's a chart in the middle that shows of the rulebook that shows the names of all the heroes, how difficult they are to play. Because every hero has their own unique deck.
Okay. Oh, it's like a deck building game, or not
no,
building,
it's not building. It's a fixed deck.
It's a fixed deck.
So Absolute Zero will have very different things than the Visionary.
Okay.
And they have a different purpose. So
right.
You have someone like Ra who just does lots of fire damage, so he's really easy to play. But someone like Absolute Zero has to manage his equipment and damage output differently. So, so he's more complex. And someone like Visionary is like a support character. She doesn't do a whole lot of damage herself. She helps the team out.
She's doing backup catering.
Then you have the list of all the villains, and they're rated from 1 to 4 in their difficulty.
Right.
So we only have 2 4s right now, I believe.
But you don't have any 4 heroes.
No, we don't have anyone so complicated that they need a 4 yet. The 3s are pretty complicated.
Well, that's right. It's not their power levels. It's the complexity of how to play them.
Right.
The 4 is. Okay. So what are the 2 4s?
The 2 4s are the chairman, who is the crime boss in Rook City.
Okay.
And he has just this giant organization of criminals, and they're just thug after thug after thug. So it really feels like a war on crime. You just have to clean up the streets.
Okay.
And it's really difficult. And then the matriarch, who is she's like a goth teenager sort of that can control birds, and so she just swarms you with birds, and they all have like 1 hit point, but something will, they might damage you when they're destroyed depending on what's out, or like. It's just a swarm.
And there's just a bajillion of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So
those are the 2 really hard ones. Then in addition to that, if you're ever having too easy a time with anything, there's an advanced mode on every villain. There's just a little rule at the bottom that says, advanced, do this. They take 1 less damage when you attack them. They do 1 more damage when they attack you.
Okay.
Something simple, but it makes them much, much, much harder.
Okay.
So
they just heal fast.
It'll usually like bump them up 1 difficulty level.
And that is rated by what game you choose to play, or you tweak it yourself.
You tweak it yourself.
Okay.
You choose your heroes, you choose your villain, you choose your environment. None of it's randomized. You can randomize it if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then because have you ever played Pandemic?
I have not played it, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, because that's another cooperative one that there's spooky cooperative ones like Arkham or House of Murder or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, Mansions of Madness.
That's it. Whatever.
Which is semi-cooperative. You still have to have basically a DM for that one.
And yes, you have a dungeon master or game master, and then one person becomes the bad guy. And I think the expansion set for Pandemic has a bad guy too, where it's someone who's decided to release some sort of.
Yeah, we will never have a bad guy player in this game.
Okay.
Never,
is that
ever.
just you just decided not to, or
we decided not to? It's a fully cooperative game. That's we grew up tweaking games. Christopher and I grew up together. I've known him since I was 10 years old.
Okay. So where'd you guys grow up?
Kansas City.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
And he and I used to just play all sorts of games and make them cooperative.
Okay.
We would always tweak whatever games we were playing. They had the Decipher Star Wars game out then.
Okay. I don't know that one.
It was a CCG, so you had to just buy thousands and thousands of packs of it.
Okay. Like Magic or?
Yeah, like Magic.
Okay.
It was a Star Wars Magic.
What's CCG stand for?
Customizable card game.
Fair enough.
Collectible card game. Depends on who you talk to.
Okay. All right. So, and it was called Star Wars?
It was just called, Star Wars CCG.
CCG. Got it. And so you would play that?
We would play that, and we would say, rather than doing what would be most efficient to win, we would go, okay, well, it doesn't make sense that Darth Vader doesn't start on the Death Star, so we'll put him there. Well, it doesn't make sense that Luke doesn't start on Tatooine, we'll put him there. And so eventually we would just get every card we had and put the whole universe out and sort of just go from there and tell the actual story of Star Wars.
That's awesome.
But, and then from then on, we had just taken different games that we were playing and made them cooperative, or tried to automate them in one way or another.
Okay. Did you ever read Darths and Droids? Have you ever seen that comic strip?
No,
it's a web comic, and it essentially takes screenshots from the Star Wars movies and runs it like it's a tabletop Dungeons and Dragons kind of game.
I'm checking that out now.
And it makes more sense than the movies, because they start with Phantom Menace.
Oh, wow.
They are, I believe, currently in Empire Strikes Back.
Did you see?
So it's been happening forever.
There's a video that someone posted that was, what if episode 1 was good?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they said this is what they would have had to do to make this good.
Okay, well, I'll link that in the notes.
It's really, it's worth
great.
checking out.
Okay.
It's about 10 minutes long. It's just this guy ranting, but.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's a very intelligent rant.
Right. So. And speculative and all good, because it could have been good. And somebody asked me the other day what they thought about J.J. Abrams taking over the Star Wars franchise. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't really have a problem with it. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll say that.
That's all that's left to us.
Yeah.
Is cautious optimism. You're like,
that's really all they've left us.
Yes.
Broken husks.
Broken out. Exactly. George Lucas is now going to be redoing American Graffiti, no doubt. And, just putting Penny Marshall.
I would also actually recommend, if you haven't seen it, The People versus George Lucas. It's a documentary. It's on Netflix.
Okay. Streaming?
Yeah.
All right.
I just watched that, and it presents kind of both sides of it, and it makes me understand his perspective a little bit more.
Sure.
But it isn't easy on him.
No. And I don't have it's his thing, so he gets to break it if he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it doesn't mean I'm not annoyed.
Just make the regular ones available.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want, release as many versions as you want.
Right.
Just give me the option to get the version that I want.
I actually have the originals because it came,
the 2-disc.
Yeah.
DVD.
Yeah. Where you had to buy all 6. And, essentially I was like, fine, here's $100. Get away from me.
It.
Yes. It's and then I don't think they're in Blu-ray though. I think they're just regular, right? Yeah. Well, whatever.
Just DVD.
I'm going to have to watch them after this show.
I've got it though. That's what's important.
That is the important thing, because when I do, and yes, because I was 11, I was just a child.
I wasn't born yet.
You weren't born yet.
No,
but,
I think I was born the year that Jedi came out.
Okay, so did you watch them when you were a kid?
On
VHS?
Late 10s. I watched them, VHS.
Yeah. And did you watch, was it before Phantom Menace came out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you got to see the first
special
3
editions came out.
Okay.
So
you got to see the originals in VHS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That'll do.
It does. Yeah.
I cut any number of slack to people that were kids when Phantom Menace came out. Right. And they're like, no, I love Phantom Menace. And I was like, that's because you were 11.
Yeah, you only know this.
You only know that. So I'm going to say fine.
Yeah.
Because I liked, I don't know, There's any number of crappy movies that I
like
love.
Tons of stupid things.
Yeah, exactly. I was 11. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So
the Super Mario Brothers movie. It's
that Hot Wheels movie, man. Did you ever see that? It was compelling. My nephews really loved it, and I was like, it's all right. I don't mind it.
Transformers the movie, not great. Doesn't really hold up, but like I loved it when I was a kid.
And quite honestly, I had no horse in that race, so when I went and saw it, I was like, this'll do. I don't mind this. Same with G.I. Joe. Because I'd never watched the TV show G.I. Joe. Yeah. So I didn't. Yeah. And fine by me. Yeah. So what games did you play Magic and all of the Yu-Gi-Oh?
Played Magic. Yeah, we played Arkham Horror, which actually
that's it.
Richard Launius, who designed Arkham Horror, actually came on board with us for the Infernal Relics expansion. Okay. Because it's arcane and sort of Lovecraftian in some elements. He came on and designed a hero, a villain, and an environment for us.
Oh, that's great.
We tweaked them to fit with this a little better, but it was kind of awesome because we had been playing Arkham Horror before we made this, and it was one of our go-to games. The two of us would always play Arkham Horror, and then we released this, and Richard Launius played it and said,
and contacted
I want to talk to these guys. I love their game. And we're like, oh man,
that's almost magical.
It is.
That's just like, oh cool.
One of these people.
One of the people cares about the thing I did.
It is. It's almost like Han Solo calling you at home. And being
right. It's in stand up. It's when someone you really love is like, no, you're good at what you do.
Jerry Seinfeld comes in.
Yeah. It's Gary Marshall in my case.
Oh, okay.
But I'm 107, so it's fine. So is it on Amazon? Can you just get it?
I do believe it's on Amazon. You can get it just from our website. A lot of game stores have it. If a game store doesn't have it, ask them and they can get it.
And they can just order it, right?
Yeah. We have every major distributor. So.
Sentinels of the Multiverse.com. Obviously, you can get it there.
Yep.
And you can get it at your local game store, which is always nice. And so the new one that isn't out yet that you guys are developing is called Galactic Strike Force?
Yes. It is much, much different. It's a space game.
Okay.
So
like Nova?
In
Green Lantern? Is it superheroes?
No, it's not superheroes.
It's not superheroes at all. Galactic Strike Force.
It is. You play as sort of rogues, smugglers, thieves.
Firefly.
You.
Han Solo. What's happening?
I will say it is not referential like Sentinels is.
Okay.
Sentinels, the characters are very clearly based on archetypes, and it is not like that at all.
Okay.
So you'll have in this game your ship, and the pilot of your ship is pictured on your card, and you fly around to different systems and buy upgrades. So it is sort of like a deck builder. We like to call it a ship builder.
Okay.
But you'll buy upgrades for your ship, and it's also 100% cooperative. So you then with your friends fight against the opposition, and that's really
the opposition. Now, is it a capitalistic opposition, or are there pirates or something?
They're different ones.
Oh, they could be anything.
Yeah, I can't really reveal a whole lot about that
Sure, because it's not out yet.
Yeah.
And so have you ever played Red Planet? Guess who? I live with a game designer. We've got a lot of games, my friend. And Red Planet is some sort of colonization game where you have you go to Mars and you just have to fill up enough colonists in one thing, and then you shoot off, and then you go to Mars. Oh. And so it's just it's a very simple little game. It's very sweet. So I don't know. It's a good one. What games are you playing now?
Oh, what am I not playing now? I'm doing this really.
Right, you're working.
Yeah, my fiance and I got Pokemon Black and White, and we play that together.
Okay, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic the Gathering kind of thing, Pokemon Black and White.
Well, we got the video game of that.
Oh, it's a video game.
Yeah, it's always been a video game.
Right. Wait a minute.
They made the card game after the video game.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I have a DS, and the only Pokemon I ever played was Pokemon Red, I think.
Okay, yeah, and that's when I started on. Red Blue was my brother and I back then.
I think the first one I had the gray brick of a Game Boy.
Yep.
And I played Final Fantasy Legend
it's solid.
Mine still works. My niece.
I gave mine to my sister when I was.
The Tetris still plays. She's like, when desperate, and I want to stop the voices in my head, I will put in the Tetris and just play it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you guys are actually just playing.
So we play that together. We usually do that for a little bit in the evenings, whatever. But most of my time is spent doing art.
Okay.
Right now.
Oh, just okay. So and
I don't play a whole lot.
Are you do you do it on the computer or is it?
I do it digitally.
Okay.
I have a big tablet that I just draw on and it draws straight in there. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Is it like an iPad?
It is. No, it is. I think it works on magnets.
Okay. So it's like a giant Etch-a-Sketch.
Essentially. It's about.
But it's like 11 by 17 or 14?
Yeah, just about. And then it has a pen, like a stylus, and you just draw on there. There's nothing on the screen here, so
and that's
I have to look up at my monitor. Yeah.
Okay.
I plug it into my computer. It's a Wacom tablet. If you want to look them up, Wacom.
I will link it on the notes because that sounds fascinating.
They're great. I would love a Cintiq if anyone's just giving them away.
How does a Cintiq spelled?
The Cintiq.
All right, and
those actually have the screen on there. You just draw straight on the screen.
Oh, okay, because this thing is essentially
it's just a black pad.
It's a black pad that you and you can see what you're drawing on the screen.
Yeah, I have to look up at my computer screen and not look at my hands when I'm drawing.
Oh, like old-timey learn how to type by touch.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's interesting.
And I'm used to it.
Did you learn it at school, or did you have to teach yourself?
I got one. I got a small one probably 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
Just because I wanted to start
coloring
you draw things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because you're a guy who draws.
Yeah.
And I
was like, I want to have more professional art. And so I got that and, just taught myself to use it. It just took a little getting used to,
Sure. I bet. Well, because they always say that stuff is intuitive, but it's only intuitive after you learn how to do it.
Yeah. It takes probably, a couple of weeks of doing it to really get. And if you don't do it for a while, then
you have to sort of reboot.
You have to retrain yourself. But
and then, do you manipulate this stuff in Illustrator or Photoshop or something like that? It's all Photoshop.
Yeah, you just draw straight in Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's convenient because I'll have like a sketch layer, and I just sketch on that layer, and then I ink another layer on top of that. So if I go, oh, this isn't working, I can go back to the sketch layer and just erase there, and then.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's its own. I want to do something. I'm going to do that, whether or not anyone gives a damn.
Yeah.
I mean that's my definition of a dorkdom.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just going to do this, and if anybody cares, that'll be great. But if they don't, I get to do this.
That's sort of how my art's always been, actually, because I went to school to be an artist, but all of my teachers at the school I was going to were very demeaning of comic book art. That they would say that, no, this isn't real art. There's one way to do real art, and that's classically. So I have some of that classical training, but
which is lovely.
I had said, I don't need to be around people who are telling me what I want to do isn't right.
Right.
So I dropped out 3 times.
And went back twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
and so
then I just started just teaching myself and learning where I could and looking at other artists and looking at, that stuff.
Yeah, Andy said, because he went to UCLA for art, and he brought in one of his comic books and showed his art, one of his art teachers, and his teacher said, what do they get paid to draw this page of art? And he said, at the time they were getting $200 a page. And the guy was like, what? That's not fair at all. They are being taken for a giant buggy ride. And he goes, I don't think anybody's doing it for the money.
Yeah.
In comic book art. So
That's true too.
Are you drawing comics at all, or are you trying to get into that?
We actually, on the Sentinels website, there's we do it like 2 pages a week, I think. As part of our last Kickstarter, one of our stretch goals was making a comic book.
Okay.
So we have, we call it the Freedom 4 Annual.
Okay.
It is about the forming of this team here, minus Absolute Zero.
A little origin story?
Yeah.
All right.
And so we intend on doing more as we can.
And so you did you do the Kickstarter to sort of?
Yes, we had our angel investor for our initial set, and then every expansion we've had a Kickstarter. But we just did our final Sentinels Kickstarter.
Okay.
We will be starting a Kickstarter for Galactic Strike Force in March.
As soon as it's sort of ready.
March,
yeah. Fair enough. That's amazing. It's so great that. Because it costs a lot of money to put this stuff out and to create content.
It's not cheap.
It is not cheap, and it's great that there's how many people were involved in the Kickstarter? Were there thousands of people who cared? How many people cared?
I'm trying to remember our final total of number of people. I can't offhand. I mean, you can easily Google it, but
it's easy to Google. It's easy to.
I think it's about 2,000.
Yeah. So, that's the great thing about Kickstarter is that you can get 2,000 people to care about what you want to do. Yeah. Then they're like, yeah, let's do this.
It does help to have a built-in audience. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I bet. And so with the first time you didn't, right?
We didn't do a Kickstarter initially. So we didn't do a Kickstarter until we had an audience.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know that Neil Gaiman was plugging somebody's Kickstarter, and I was like, yeah, that'll help. Yeah. If Neil Gaiman gives a damn about
that'd be nice if people like that.
Exactly. if somebody was interested. So
we're friends with a lot of other game designers at this point. Richard Launius will mention us wherever he'll rant on about our game. Good. Keith Baker.
Yeah.
Will say stuff about us.
I know Kyle Baker. Kyle Baker's a comic book writer artist. Who's Keith Baker?
Keith Baker made
what did he make?
Gloom.
Gloom. Yeah. Wait a minute. No. Wait. Is it a card game?
Yes. It's like transparent cards.
Transparent cards. Yes, I have seen that. Yeah. Okay. Have you played Murder of Crows? Have you seen that?
No. There's a card in our game called Murder of Crows.
Okay. Well,
it's a single card.
All it is it's you try to spell the word murder.
Oh.
And it's Edgar Allan Poe themed, right? And it is, a short, super fun game. Ed Baraff, I made it, and I can show it to you after the show. I will link it, of course, on the notes. But there's so many, the great thing about living now, sure, there's pollution. We live in a dystopian present, but you get to make
It's worth it.
It's totally worth it to be able to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We're the 2-3 generations. I think my generation, the first generation that genuinely just said, yeah, we won't be growing up. No, I'm going to continue to collect action figures until I fall over in a heap.
Yeah.
So.
Much to my fiance's dismay.
Yeah. What does your fiance do?
She works in photo editing. She wants to open a cafe. It's like her dream. But she is plugging away at a job she hates so I can do what I love right now. So
that's very sweet of her.
It is very sweet of her. She's a saint.
A saint. Good work. Good work out there. And I've always wanted to start either a coffee shop called Thirsty Boku, where people would it would be 80s themed. And so you would have to pay in traveler's checks. I don't know where you get them, but it would be some sort of hipster. You'd have to go to the bank and find someone who's still selling traveler's checks. Maybe we would have a check cashing place in the beginning. We will take a Visa check
card also.
You could wear berets.
Yeah.
And because I remember in the 80s when I went to college, there was one coffee shop. It was an espresso place, and I remember thinking it was the most pretentious place in the world. And it was one of the first, it was called Steep and Brew in Madison, Wisconsin. And it still remains, still is there. And I remember when I first started doing stand-up making a joke about, how you had to use traveler's checks and talk about how you had just come back from the continent. And, because there was a lot of, in 1984, who's drinking espresso? Only super hipsters. Talk about ground floor.
Black turtleneck and
very much so. And then the other one I want to start is a chicken place called One Wing to rule them all. But
that's great.
But I don't just like wings. It would have to have all the kinds of chicken.
What I would like her to do, and I think that she sort of is on the same page with me as this, but I would like to have a cafe that sells food all the time, like IHOP, but has big tables so you can play games there, and also
like IHOP, a good place, a nice place like IHOP, an international house of pancakes.
Yeah, it's not just here.
And then large tables for gaming.
Yeah, because Christopher and I would go to IHOP all the time. We're cramped on this little table playing our games.
Mm-hmm. So that ain't
right. A place that has giant tables and food all the time and booze.
Right. Food and booze and just an offer of Cheetos if you were to need some.
It'd be the best.
It would be the best. It would be the best of all worlds.
It's just this haven.
A safe space, per se.
Exactly.
It would be great. And I know that Andy talks about his least favorite game, which is Monopoly.
Yes.
Yes. And because, of course, the purpose of the game is to destroy the economy.
Yes.
And if you destroy the economy, you're a bad person. So let's not play that game, is how he puts it.
My fiance got me a World of Warcraft Monopoly. Because we play World of Warcraft together also.
Okay.
We play everything together.
All right. Yeah. I like you're like, no, I'm constantly drawing, except for when I'm not playing Pokemon and World of Warcraft, which are both 18-hour-a-day games. Anyway.
I don't play them 18 hours a day. I play them
Good
for
for
like
you.
an hour on weekends. I wish I could play them more,
But you gotta pace yourself.
Oh yeah. At this point in my life, I do.
For sure.
But she got me that just because it's a World of Warcraft thing, and we played it on like Christmas, the day after Christmas, and she was so furious at me that she's like, "We're never playing this again."
Why? What happened?
Because the whole purpose of Monopoly is to be a jerk to everyone else.
Oh, right.
And she doesn't
Like those games.
She doesn't like that I'm a jerk to her.
Right.
But there's only the two of us, so I can't really form an alliance with her against everyone else. I just have to just be a jerk to her.
Oh, sure. Or you and Chris did when you were kids, you could have created a third game, right? Right? Couldn't you have expanded the universe and gone, all right, we're going to fight against the game.
Cooperative Monopoly.
Cooperative Monopoly.
Coopoly.
Socialists. That's it. We've both been blacklisted. So... Did you work at a comic book store here in Los Angeles?
No, it was in Kansas City.
Oh, it was in Kansas City.
It was called Bebop Comics.
Bebop Comics.
Yep.
Shout out. Well done, gentlemen. And or ladies. I doubt it. But God love you. And
it's been around for a long time.
Okay.
There. And it's owned by a guy named Frank Mandracina, who's been around in the industry for a long, long time too. He used to be a distributor and stuff, so.
Okay.
So he has all these great stories about meeting Frank Miller and
right.
Stan Lee and
Kirby and everybody and their grandmother.
I think it was still post Kirby, but
hello.
Unfortunately,
all right. But it's one of my favorite when people talk about board games and comic books. That's what stand-up comedy is, because stand-up comedy, nobody's watching. I mean, there's literally thousands of people on a planet of 7 billion people that give a shit about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's fine because it can be then about anything. And, one of my favorite places was down in Australia because they have the illusion that they don't even have the internet or the television. Like no one's watching in their minds. They're like, oh, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand on my head and I'm going to, light my farts on fire while I tell political jokes. What do you think? And you're like, okay. I think that covers everything.
It kind of explains why I don't see a lot of Australian comics.
But the thing is that some of it's just genius. And you're like, holy crap, why doesn't anyone know about you? And they're like, nobody knows about any of us. And there's a guy named Greg Fleet down in Australia who is an amazing comic. And have you ever heard of him? Nope. No. Yeah, but there's amazing comics here that you've never heard of, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. But all right, here's my question.
Yes.
Do you do any reading? Do you
yes,
do any? Okay,
do.
What do you enjoy?
Well, I'm reading right now a book called Elantris by Brandon Sanderson.
Yes, you are. That's a great. I will high five Elantris.
Yeah.
Blessedly, one book.
It is. Oh yeah. I don't know what I would do if this was a series.
But nothing else.
Yeah. But I'm about 2/3 of the way through it, and it's just outstanding.
It's mind-blowing.
I had read Mistborn.
Oh, okay.
And then I had said, oh my God, what else can I read by this guy?
By this guy. Yeah, I started the other way. I read Elantris first, and then I read Mistborn. Mistborn was great. I loved the first two Mistborn. The last one, I was like, I get it. And then
I don't know. I liked all of them. I liked how detailed it got with the magic by the third one.
Yeah, that's true.
He comes up with very interesting ways to deal with magic.
Yeah, his mechanics are fantastic. Like that Elantris world is a world that makes sense.
Yeah. And
when you finish it, you will be like, oh, it does not fail. It does not fail, and it's continuing to make sense.
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, he sticks the landing. So you gotta love that.
Yeah, well, that makes me just want to go home and read now.
Right.
But I have work to do. I can't.
Yeah, you got stuff to do.
But I also, I would definitely recommend The Name of the Wind and the Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss.
I haven't read that. I've only read Name of the Wind, which was amazing.
Yeah, well, Wise Man's Fear is
holds up.
Oh yeah, as
Excellent.
good if not better.
Really,
I feel.
Even though it's a bajillion pages.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worth every page. Like,
okay.
You're just flying through them.
Because it took him forever to write the first book, so I was worried about the second book.
I have to wait for this third one now, and I don't know how he's going to end it all in the third one because he still leaves so much unanswered.
Philip Rothfuss, right?
Patrick Rothfuss.
Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
Fuss.
Yeah.
And Name of the Wind was great. I had a hard time. I have a hard time starting a series that isn't done. Because what if they die?
That's the other.
Robert Jordan, did you read that?
No,
Wheel of
my
Time?
fiance. I read the first 2.5 of them.
Yeah, I tried to start it. I didn't care.
Yeah, it's so hard. There's so much of it, and it's daunting.
Yeah.
But Stephen Brust wrote a series of books about a character called Vlad Taltosh. Start with Jareg, and I think the second one's Yendi. I don't remember.
Okay, well, say his name again?
Stephen Brust.
B-R-U-S-T.
UST.
Stephen Brust, a series called?
They're called the Taltosh series, I think.
Okay.
Taltos.
And it's like science fiction or fantasy?
It's science fiction fantasy.
Okay.
It's both.
Okay.
But there's going to be like 18 books, but they're on like the 13th. But they're far less of an investment. They're all short.
Okay.
So
well, fair enough.
Yeah,
then
you can do them all quick.
That'll help.
But those are my favorite.
Have you read any Lois McMaster Bujold? Mm-mm. She wrote a fantasy series called The Sharing Knife, and it's pretty great. It's a weird little world.
Sharing Knife.
Yeah, all of her fantasy, like she wrote the Miles Vorkosigan series, which is a sort of a space ranger kind of thing about a warrior. I mean, it's socio-political, but it dances up here. Like it's super light, but it addresses sort of the big issues, but it's not like Ursula Le Guin, it isn't. And this sounds.
Ender's Game does that a little bit. It's really entertaining to read, but it still has a deep commentary.
Right. Yeah. It's an easy read to some extent, but it has a punch. It packs a serious emotional and sociological punch. And that's Lois McMaster Bujold too. And The Sharing Knife is a little more, because it's fantasy set in a spooky magic world, right? It's more complex. So the Miles Vorkosigan series, you're in space. We've all seen Star Trek. Space we get. Yeah. Sure, of course we've controlled gravity. You know that a couple of years ago I was talking to a physics teacher friend. She's a AP physics teacher. And I said, in all seriousness, have we controlled gravity yet?
Is there ever a chance of this?
No, I thought that we had done it. And she was like, yeah, no, Jackie, gravity still a mystery. We don't know how to generate that yet. You're good. You're good. Keep reading.
Did you think they were just walking around in the space station? Or?
I don't know. I read C.S. Lewis' Space Trilogy. Did you ever read that?
Oh, yeah.
It's because remember the spaceship on that one? They had set the spaceship up like the Earth. So the center of the spaceship, you walked around the spaceship because the center of the spaceship was like the center of the Earth. And that's how they control gravity. And I think I got it confused.
I think I need to reread those, though, because I remember really liking the first two and then just being completely lost with the third.
Yes. The first time I read the third, I was like, oh, what a hunk of junk. What the hell happened here?
It's like a head in a jar. It's not in space anymore.
What's happening? But the third
about
time.
Merlin?
Right. And so the third time I read it, I finally got it. I mean, I think I was just too young to get it.
I think I was too.
I will say that
in high school.
Yeah, and I read it in early college, and I just but I will say this is that Outer Space series is the best defense of Christianity I've ever read in my life. Because
these space books.
Right, it makes more sense that this is where they trapped Lucifer and we're under siege. That resonates with me as like that's why we're all fucked up. I get it. All right.
It does.
All right. So, weird. What else you got? You reading any nonfiction? You reading any? You watching any good TV?
Good TV, yeah. There's too much TV to watch.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. House of Cards on Netflix. It's a Netflix original series. Yeah.
How is it?
It's good. I haven't finished it yet, but
what's the premise?
It is.
I've heard of it. I can't remember.
He's a congressman. He might be the Senate Majority Leader. I'm not sure exactly what his role is offhand. But Kevin Spacey plays a politician that kind of has a hold on all of the strings in all of Washington. And so it's just him manipulating everything.
Oh, okay. Sort of like the Yeah, the Karl Rove of the 80s kind of situation.
Yeah. It's,
That speculatively.
yes.
So, yes.
Yeah,
Please don't sue me. Nobody's going to sue me.
Is Karl Rove listening?
Yes. There's literally thousands of people listening. He's never going to hear. So, yeah. So, Adam, I want to say Rebottaro again. Cause that's
Rebottaro.
Rebottaro.
Yeah,
I want to say Rebottaro correctly.
Everyone says Rebottaro. It's Italian though, so if that helps.
Yeah. It does help. Cause, how's your cooking? Do you do any?
I do a little bit. My fiance thinks it's okay, but she's a way better cook than I am.
When will you marry? I wonder. Not yet settled? Not yet set?
She wants it to be this year, but if it's feasible this year.
All right.
Then if not, yet next year.
Well, we got married at a Chinese restaurant. Everyone ate dim sum, because who doesn't love dim sum?
Yeah.
Who's made of stone?
I know we're gonna have Italian catered because it's both our favorite food.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna get married on Halloween just because we want to.
Right. Sure. That's what people who play games do. They love Halloween. Are you a fan of the Lovecraft kind of stuff?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love Lovecraft.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I like to find out minute 55. We could have talked about Lovecraft, but I don't know enough about it. I've had a couple of Lovecraft dorks on, and it sounds like it's great, but it isn't the best written stuff in the world, so you sort of have to get it at the right time.
Yeah, it's it can be kind of hard to read at times. There's some of his dream stories that just meander.
Right, he's just a pad.
Yeah,
he's wandering around. But the characters are amazing. Like he's created things that are
I really like
iconic.
The really short stories about people going insane.
That's your faves.
Yeah. About them seeing something the man was not supposed to see, and so they just go off the deep end. That's great stuff.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
All right. Can you remember the name of one?
I really love the Testimony of Randolph Carter.
Testimony of Randolph Carter.
Yes.
All right.
It's one of my favorite.
Adam Rebottaro. What people should do, because that game looks amazing, and I'm going to get it. So sentinelsofthemultiverse.com, and plenty of expansion sets coming out, and it's a card game. And how long does it take to play usually?
It takes about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, so that's perfect.
Yep.
And as much as I love Risk,
2 to 5 players,
right?
3 to 5 heroes. You can play with 2 people, but you should control 2 heroes each. Your turn's super simple. You play a card, use a power, draw a card. There's just 3 actions on a turn, so you can just do that. Put your hand down, pick up the next one. Okay.
So it's so easy enough to play 2 characters. Not that complicated.
Yeah, I know people that solo it.
So, okay. Can you play by yourself?
4, yeah.
And just play against themselves?
Yeah.
We had Rich Summer
play against
on.
the game. Rich
Summer, his wife doesn't like to play games, and his kids are too little, so he plays essentially board games for one.
Oh,
it sounds sad, but he says that he loves it so. So it'll be fun. And they'll grow up. The kids will grow up. And Rich Summer plays the geeky guy on Mad Men. The guy with the black glasses.
Yeah.
In the thing. So, everybody go to sentinelsofthemultiverse.com, and then can they check out galacticstrikeforce.com?
Yeah, right now there's some basic info of Galactic Strike Force up on the website. You can get to our forums from there. You can get to the Sentinels website from there. And that will be updated, especially when the Kickstarter starts in March.
In March.
Yeah.
Okay, which is, and this will drop late in February, so that'll be good.
All right.
All right. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.
My hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?